There are some doors we stop opening, not because they're locked, but because we are afraid of what we might find on the other side. A memory, a mistake, a person we once loved, and a version of ourselves we don't want to remember. But what if the door was never meant to stay closed? What if some stories don't need a new ending? What if they simply need a second act? Every heart has a story, and every story deserves to be heard. Welcome back to Tinig ng Mga Kwento, where stories speak to the heart. This is Annadelle, and tonight, we're talking about something that sounds simple, but is probably one of the hardest things a person can do. Forgiveness. Pero may tanong ako sa iyo tonight. Kapag sinabi nating pinapatawad na kita, ibig sabihin ba nun na okay na lahat? Na parang walang nangyari? Na kailangang bumalik tayo sa dati? Or maybe forgiveness means something completely different. Maybe forgiving someone does not mean giving them back the same place in our lives. Maybe it means finally putting down something heavy. Something we've been carrying for years. And sometimes, a second chance does not mean going back. It means finally moving forward. Tonight, I want to tell you a story about two people. A broken promise, an old theater, and a second act neither of them expected. At the end of a quiet street stood an old community theater called Tanghalan 7. Hindi ito kasing buhay tulad ng dati. The paint on the walls had faded. Some of the seats were broken. The curtains had lost their color, and the stage was covered in dust. But for Gabriel, that theater was home. He had spent most of his younger years there. He learned how to act there, how to speak without shouting, how to listen without interrupting, how to stand in front of people, even when his hands were shaking. And beside him for many years was Teresa. Teresa was not an actress. She was the one behind the scenes. She built props, fixed costumes, painted backdrops, and somehow, whenever Gabriel forgot his lines, she was always the one whispering them from the side of the stage. They were not lovers. They were not siblings. They were simply two people who believed in the same thing, that stories could change people. That a small theater in a small neighborhood could still matter. Until one night, everything changed. 20 years ago, Tanghalan 7 was prepared for its biggest production, a play that would determine whether the city would continue funding the theater. If the show succeeded, the theater would receive enough money for repairs. If it failed, the building would probably be closed. Gabriel was directing. Teresa was managing the production. They had spent months preparing. But 3 days before opening night, the theater's main lighting equipment disappeared. And without it, the show could not continue. Everyone panicked. Then they found out that Teresa had signed the equipment out. Gabriel confronted her. Teresa, bakit mo kinuha? I didn't. But your name is on the form. I know, but I did not take anything. Gabriel did not believe her. Or maybe he was simply too afraid to believe her. Because everyone was looking at him. The actors were waiting. The theater board was demanding answers. And Gabriel was under pressure. So he made a decision. He blamed Teresa. She tried to explain. She begged him to listen. Pero sa sobrang galit at takot ni Gabriel, hindi niya siya pinakinggan. The show was cancelled. The funding was lost. And Tanghalan 7 closed. Teresa left the theater that night. She never returned. 20 years passed. Gabriel grew older. He became a teacher. He directed small productions. He continued working with young actors. But every once in a while, he would think about Tanghalan 7 and about Teresa. He told himself he had already forgiven her because in his mind, she was the reason the theater had closed. She was the reason everything they built disappeared. But there was one problem. Every time he remembered that night, he still felt angry. And perhaps that was how he finally realized something. You cannot say you've forgiven someone while still building your identity around what they did to you. Then one afternoon, he received a message. The city was reopening Tanghalan 7. A new organization had purchased the building. They wanted to restore it. And they were looking for former members of the theater to help rebuild it. Gabriel almost deleted the invitation until he saw one name on the list of volunteers. Teresa. Now here's where the story changes. Because sometimes there are two versions of the same night, and both people remember it differently. Teresa sighed. I didn't take the lights. I never did. But I understood why Gabriel did not believe me. He was scared. Everyone was scared. Pero masakit pa rin. Because the person I trusted most was the person who didn't trust me. I wanted to explain. I wanted him to fight for me. But when he pointed at me and said, "Because of you, we lost everything," something inside me broke. So I left. And I carried that sentence with me for 20 years. Not because I believed it, but because I believed maybe he did. For years, I was angry. I told myself I did not need his apology. I told myself I was better off without that theater. Pero kapag may naririnig akong palakpak sa isang stage, I still remember Tanghalan 7. I still remember the people, the lights, the curtains, the laughter backstage. And I realized I was not angry because I lost the theater. I was angry because I lost the chance to explain myself. And here's Gabriel's side. For 20 years, I thought I was the one who was wronged. I thought Teresa abandoned us. I thought she made a mistake and left me to deal with the consequences. But when I saw her name on that volunteer list, I started remembering something, a detail I had forgotten, a conversation from that night. The theater caretaker had told me the equipment had been moved because of a leaking ceiling. Teresa had signed a form because she was the production manager. She was supposed to move the lights somewhere safe. And then I remembered. The equipment was not stolen. It was damaged. And I had never actually asked what happened after that. I simply assumed. 20 years. I had built an entire story around an assumption. And Teresa, she had spent 20 years living with the consequences of my accusations. The meeting. They finally met inside the theater. No dramatic music, no angry shouting. Just two older people standing on a dusty stage where they had once dreamed of something bigger. Gabriel spoke first. Teresa? She looked at him. Gabriel. Silence. Then he said the words he had avoided for 20 years. I was wrong. Teresa looked away. I know. Gabriel took a deep breath. I should have listened. You should have. I blamed you because I was afraid. I know. I thought I was protecting the theater. Teresa looked at him. But you were not protecting the theater, Gabriel. What was I doing? You were protecting yourself from being afraid. And that sentence stayed between them. Because sometimes the truth is not cruel. It's just uncomfortable. Gabriel nodded. Then he said, I am sorry. Teresa did not immediately say, I forgive you. Instead, she asked, do you understand what you took from me? Gabriel answered honestly, no. She smiled sadly. Neither do I. And maybe that was the beginning of forgiveness. Not pretending the pain was not real, not rushing to erase it, but finally allowing the truth to exist. Weeks passed. The theater restoration continued. Gabriel and Teresa worked together again, but this time, things were different. They were not trying to become who they used to be. They were building something new. Teresa trained young volunteers backstage. Gabriel taught acting workshops. And one day, one of the teenagers asked them, did you two work together before? They looked at each other. Gabriel smiled. Yes. Were you friends? Teresa laughed softly. We were. The teenager looked confused. Are you friends now? There was a pause. Gabriel looked at Teresa. Teresa looked back at him. And she said, we're learning. Maybe that is what a second chance really looks like. Hindi laging grand reunion. Hindi laging parang pelikula. Sometimes, it's simply two people choosing not to repeat the same mistake. Sometimes, second chances don't restore what was lost. They create something that did not exist before. A wiser friendship, a quieter understanding, a more honest beginning. Mga katinig, maybe there is someone you have not forgiven. Maybe they hurt you. Maybe they disappointed you. Maybe they made a choice that changed your life. And maybe you've been carrying that moment for so long, and you've forgotten what life feels like without it. But forgiveness does not mean saying, What happened was okay. Hindi ibig sabihin na kailangan mong kalimutan. Hindi rin ibig sabihin na kailangan mong ibalik ang isang tao sa buhay mo exactly where they used to be. Forgiveness can simply mean I will no longer allow what happened to control who I become. And sometimes, you also have to forgive yourself for trusting the wrong person, for staying too long, for leaving too soon, for saying something you wish you could take back, for not knowing then what you know now. Because we are all human. We make mistakes. We understand. We react from fear. We hurt people. And sometimes, we become the person who needs forgiveness. So if life gives you a second chance, don't use it to recreate the past. Use it to create something better, something wiser, something more honest. Because forgiveness does not erase the past. It frees the future. Before we end tonight's story, I want you to close your eyes for a moment. Think of the person, or maybe the version of yourself that you've been holding on to, and quietly say, I release what I can no longer change. Then say, I forgive what I am ready to forgive. And finally, I give myself permission to begin again. Because sometimes, the second chance we've been waiting for isn't someone coming back. Sometimes, it's us finally moving forward. Mga katinig, thank you for spending another moment with me. If this story reminded you of someone, maybe you don't have to call them. Maybe you don't have to go back. Maybe tonight, all you need to do is let your heart become a little lighter. And remember, forgiveness does not erase the past. It frees the future. Until our stories meet again. This is Annadel, and this has been Tinig ng Mga Kwento, where stories speak to the heart.